Hello everyone. Welcome to another episode where we'll be exploring some of the basic principles of Qigong and Tai Chi Chuan. Qigong is an energetic practice and it's very much in tune with our approach here of the harmonic self. The way we're using a Qigong practice is to bring our bodies and all the elements of our body into a greater harmonic vibration or frequency or resonance so that we become more vibratorily alive. And we do this in various ways, but one of the ways we can do it is through movement. Tai Chi Chuan is a martial art, actually, so we won't really be doing too many Tai Chi Chuan movements, but Qigong enables us to get into the energetics that actually do also inform Tai Chi Chuan. So it's useful in any respect if you're studying either of those arts. And of course, if you want to go deeper into this, then please find a qualified teacher. There's many great teachers of Tai Chi Chuan and Qigong out there. But we'll cover some just basic principles that I think you may find useful in your daily life. Because really what we want to do is open up our body so that it becomes more of a resonant instrument. And that requires us to be not restricted or struck or stuck, just to be relaxed and open as much as we possibly can. So even if you find yourself very tense, there's always an improvement we can make. And it's regardless of age as well. That's the nice thing. Always just a tiny little improvement can make the world of difference. Now, we spoke yesterday about opening up the palm and just opening up the joints of the fingers. That's very important. And eventually we'll want to open up the joints of the wrist and the elbows and the shoulder. And in many ways we'll do that in this next movement I'm going to show you called compressing the pearl. But first of all, I want to explain that this area here we're going to call Lao Gong, or is called Lao Gong. There's an acupuncture point right in the center of our palm by that name, but we're looking at Lao Gong as being this whole palm area. Also, I want you to think about your feet as well. And in your feet, underneath the mound of the big toe, just below it, is another point called K1 or kidney 1 or the bubbling well. It's kind of somewhat in the center as well. So we're going to be looking at this whole of the sole of our feet here as being that area called Yongquan. So we're just looking at areas here, so we're not getting too granular. But when we're standing, we want to be a little bit more on the forefoot. We want to have our heel on the ground, but a little bit more on the forefoot to stimulate this Yongquan point so that the energy comes and rises through our bodies. So just find yourself now with your feet shoulder width apart and your feet pointing forward. Always use the second toe, not the big toe, the second toe as a good pointer that should be pointing forward. And also have the knees tracking over your feet. We talked about that yesterday. And also the head suspended from above. I'll be just adding little pointers as we go along. And today I want to talk about the pelvis. I'll just move it back a little bit here. So we don't want to be sticking our tushy out and we don't want to be tucking our tushy in. We want to imagine that there's a weight hanging down from our coccyx. So it's more like something is just pulling us down, but there's no tucking and there's no forcing. Very important that we don't force anything in all that we're doing here. Again, the head suspended from above. Important that that head, as best we can, just stays over our shoulders. If I had a ball and I had my finger here, I put the ball on top of my finger, I can pretty much stand quite a bit of pressure. As soon as I begin to tilt that, my finger gets really weak and it begins to really hurt. And by this point, it's like I can't take the pressure anymore. Well, that's really what's happening in our bodies. When our head is on top of our spine, where it's supposed to be located, we pretty much are easy. Our shoulders are down and our neck is released, the back of our neck is released. As soon as we go into forward head posture, we're putting a lot of pressure all on our neck and also all across our back. So it really behooves us, if you've got nothing else from that, if you can start to get your head above, on top of your shoulders, on top of where it's supposed to be, on top of that atlas. I need to be reminded about it constantly. It's very easy when, as soon as we get into a computer, we get a bad email, or we're looking at an interesting article, and suddenly we're just off base. So that's very important. And we'll see why that's important as we go through these exercises or these movements, because we're really opening up the spine, and that's really what we want to do. We want to decompress the spine. You know, sitting down compresses the joints, and we want to decompress that. We're going to do that with a very simple movement. I'm moving back a little bit. Remember, we had our hands in front of us. We were kind of almost holding this basketball or this chi ball or energy ball. And remember, we opened up Long Chuan, the palms, and we felt that ball between our hands. And as we opened up our palms, we felt it a little bit more. And as we put the light into it, we felt that ball kind of has a more of a buoyancy or resiliency. It's almost pushing back against us, almost like when a magnet repels, kind of just feels that kind of energy. And then also we can put our loving into that ball of light or ball of energy. Now we're going to move our hands up to the sides, and we're going to move our hands back down. That's the movement. So that's pretty simple going. What's so special about this? Well, there's a lot in it, and that's why it's an important exercise. That's why it's part of Qigong, one of the foundational exercises. Basically, what we're doing is, as we're opening up our energy. We're not lifting our shoulders. We're just opening up, almost like we're going to be yawning. This is an important point, this yawning aspect, because if you notice that when you yawn, you just don't open your mouth. It's almost like this kind of something is pushing in while you're pushing out. And that's the kind of the feeling we want in our joints as we open up. It's that feeling without forcing. We're not using muscular strength here at all. That's really a key, and it's really important to learn, because we're accessing another part of our body system. We open up, and you feel here. Now notice my arms are in front of my midline of my spine. I'm not back here, for example, and I'm not here even. I'm just here, very comfortable, because I want my back to be open and also want my front to be open, the front of my body. So I'm moving up, and as I come up, I just go up on my legs a little bit. In other words, my knees are softer and I'm further down. I'm not kind of squatting, but I'm just a little bit further down when I'm holding the ball at this lower point of my belly called the lower dantian. And then as I come up, I just come up slowly. I rise a little bit with the rising of my hands. And now I'm at the heart center. That's all I need to be. And then I come back down again. From the ground, I come up, I open up, and then I come back down again. Now notice as I come back down, I'm maintaining the relationship between my wrist, my elbow, and my arms. What a lot of people tend to do is they tend to come down more like chicken wings and come down like this. And we don't want that. We want to come back down like this. Now we want to keep that feeling of connection. That's the big deal here. We want to feel the connection, and we do that by opening up the Lao Gong, feeling our hands and joints of our fingers open. And as we come back down, we want to maintain those joints being open as we compress the ball. Feel again the energy between your hands. Feel it amplified, and then when you're ready, up you go. We inhale to the heart center. Then we come down and we exhale and we come down to the lower center. And we feel that connection with the lower center. We're a little bit lower, teeny bit lower in our body. Now we push into the feet and we come up and we come down as we compress. And you can do that for 5 minutes or so. But remember, don't raise the shoulders. Keep the shoulders low. We'll talk about the shoulders tomorrow. Make sure that you're opening the body as much as you can. And really feel that center moving, the energy from your lower center as we move up into the heart center and then back down into just below the belly button, called the lower dantian. Connect with the ground. Up, down. Very simple movement, but it's kind of quite an energetic workout if you're doing it correctly. And remember, just keep that head. That's really the key. And keep that weight on that tailbone so that as you move up, you can just feel the vertebrae decompressing. And even as you come down, they're decompressing. One last point in that, as we go up, we lead with the head so that we're pulling up. And as we come down, we lead with the coccyx pulling down. That weight on the coccyx pulls the head down so that we're keeping that length in the spine. So vital for our health. And then when you come back, again, just feel that energy between your hands. That's your connection. It reminds you to keep the joints open. And then we just close, bringing our hands to our heart. Just take a moment of relaxation. Bei Rush Bei Shan, which means the blessings already are.